I felt in the 90s a freedom to have ideas that people would want to make. You know, I wasn't worried that they wouldn't be open to the kind of movies that I make.
Creativity and originality you saw as an asset.
Yes, I did. Character, wit, comedy, heart, you know, big screen. You know, I had no crystal ball. I couldn't see into the future of how movies were going to change.
2008 was a big year for superhero movies. That was Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. That was Heath Ledger and Batman.
Yeah.
Right? You had a movie come out in 2009, a wonderful movie called It's Complicated with Meryl Streep, Steve Martin, Alec Baldwin.
Thank you.
Did you have a sense that
No.
that the earth had shifted?
No. I went to see both of them. I thought they were great.
You saw Iron Man and The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I thought they were great. Well done, good filmmakers, good. I liked it. But I didn't think that would be a steady diet for the future of movies.
Of course, look, there are still grown-up movies being made, but it feels as though all of the marketing dollars, and I'll make up a number, it feels like 95% of marketing dollars are being spent on superhero movies, franchise films.
Animated movies. Horror movies.
Right, and all franchises that are in part, and you know, and I hate to talk like the business people in the business, but like with established IP, stuff that people know.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's probably more reasons than I'm aware of, but what I feel is that they became so big and movies became such a worldwide event, right? So they have to feed a product. You know, I don't think when I started making movies, the foreign sales, the foreign business box office wasn't as critical. It's as critical as the domestic, right? So these kind of movies just kept working, and they would do another. So they're all, I don't know if they're sequels or remakes, but you know, there's not a lot of risk. They know who the audience is, right? And they just keep feeding that kind of movie. And by the way, there's big talents making those movies. I'm not putting the movies down, but I think a lot of us wish that other movies weren't slowly eliminated. At the same time that was happening, streaming was, I don't know when streaming started, but I know during the pandemic it got really revved up. I know from my own movies, you know, how well they did during the pandemic. There was a comfort to watching a movie at home. And so there started to be a separation, the kind of movies that are made for streaming and the kind of movies that are made for movie theaters.
You're not knocking franchise films and superhero movies. You just want to see a shared playing field with them.
Yes, yeah. I think, you know, like I was looking at the top 10, the movies being nominated for Best Picture this year. The majority are not studio movies. The majority are independent movies where voices are more original, and it's not so much, it's not a franchise, it's not the same thing and the same characters. And I understand that, I understand the fun of that, of seeing those people return and doing it again, but it's, yes, I wish there were more films on the menu, different types of movies, you know. And some get relegated, you know, like the Thriller went away in a movie theater, but you have a Disclaimer or, you know, Ripley. They're great filmmakers, really done so well. But there's something, it's been this kind of unsaid thing about, oh, well, that should be on a streamer.
So the dramatic thriller, as you just said, so that those, you can find those stories, but those stories are showing up in serialized form on streaming sites.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
You have made almost exclusively romantic comedies. It's I don't even think it's enough to only call them romantic comedies, but there's some drama in them and so forth. But
yeah.
Those movies, they haven't vanished completely, but they are hard to find showing up in theaters.
Well, they too have found a home on streaming services. I don't know that they're as much for the adult audience as the ones, you know, I have made or my peers have made, but the genre is kind of bubbling up now, I think.
You made a film called The Holiday in 2006 with some big stars: Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, Jude Law, Jack Black, Eli Wallach,
Yeah.
the most important actor in that movie as far as I'm concerned. It did okay, right, at the time?
The international was actually bigger than the domestic on that movie. So yes, it did do well.
But then during the pandemic,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, did you not hear more people compliment you about The Holiday because they'd seen it during the pandemic than saw it in movie theaters or even maybe even on DVD in 2006?
I mean, you're right. During the pandemic, it got a new life.
Yeah, just
But a lot of people's movies did. I
Sure,
believe.
but you got to experience firsthand like how habits had changed
Yes.
during the pandemic,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Your well-budgeted, but not a $200 million movie. I'm going to make up a number. I have no idea about budgets, but your
No, they don't cost
$60 million movie, that it is easier to make a $3 million movie in Hollywood or a
That's right.
$300 million
That's right.
movie in Hollywood.
Risk averse.
But $40 to $70 million, that is not a budget that studios are interested in.
Because to put a movie in a movie theater, right, it costs a lot more money than to put a movie on Netflix, obviously, right? You have to share the money with all the theater owners, right? It's a whole different game.
Yeah, that basically theater owners take half the money.
That's right. So, and it's really expensive to get your attention to go to a movie. So they are risk averse, there's no doubt about it. And then in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think it comes down to superhero movies, animated movies, and horror films can still get, there is an audience waiting for them. So there's always an audience. You know, I personally don't believe in this. I think an audience always wants to see a good movie. You know, I really firmly believe that. So it's their decision. Do they want to put the money into the marketing of something that doesn't have perhaps a built-in audience? That you have to put all that money into selling it. You have to share what you're... So they tend to not make it. They tend to not make those movies where there's something original or, you know, but yet those are the movies that get nominated for Oscars every year. I've been around long enough that I remember when they took chances and they were excited and they wanted to be part of something that was a little bit different or unique, or they felt this is really going to work. That kind of thinking, I don't know. I don't know if it's the same. I think, as I said, they're concentrated on the known audience they know they're going to get. So the unknown, it scares them a little bit. And those people with those wonderful movie ideas, it's hard to get the financing for indie movies. Good for those filmmakers that can have the stamina to make those movies.
The current system, there's a loss, right? There's a loss of a type of movie.
And a type of movie star. It's also a loss of movie stars, in my opinion. It's hard to become a movie star off of the three genres that I mentioned.
Right.
I don't mean those guys don't make a fortune of money. I mean, they're not Robert Redford. You know what I mean? They don't have Brad Pitt's career or George Clooney or Jack Nicholson's career, because those are built by movie after movie and getting a rapport with the audience. And they all did all kinds of movies, romantic comedies, Kubrick movies. They had a big variety of kinds of movies they could be in. And you would go to a movie because they were in it.
And now?
I don't know how you become a movie star now.
Now you don't go to the movie because the star is in it.
Oh,
You
no.
go to a movie because it's the
It's a spectacle.
It's a spectacle.
It's a spectacle.
What has the reliance on spectacles meant for filmmakers like you?
What it means is there has to be a different platform for me, perhaps.
Because you don't make spectacles,
I don't think so.
but you don't make cheap movies either.
And therein lies the problem.
And I know you're incredibly grateful to the business that has given you this.
I love that I've been able to make movies. It's been one of the great loves of my life.
But it has become harder for directors like you to make the kind of movies
Yeah, I
that
think
you
there's
make.
a lot of people that aren't making movies anymore because they're not quite sure how to navigate this.
You have grandkids who presumably like movies. One of them says to you, Nanny, what's a movie?
Okay, here's what a movie is.
All right.
And here's what the problem is. The movie's bigger than you. It used to be called a dream factory, Hollywood, right? Okay, because you can sit in the dark and you volunteer to be there and you've paid to go, and the lights go down and the curtain opens And somebody's dream is up on the screen, somebody's version of a world that you get pulled into and you get sucked into. And it's a place, in my opinion, that has had brilliant storytelling, brilliant, beautiful visuals, and you get to be taken on a journey with these characters, with the story. The lights come up at the end, and you know you've been somewhere and you've had an experience. It's not the second screen. I got this screen, you know, right? Everybody knows that when you're watching a streamer, and I would do it. I'm also a little on my phone and answering texts. We have their undivided attention when we're in a movie theater. That's what a movie is. It's a great artistic experience.
But that could be on any screen anywhere. Like, it is different if you even see that movie, even a great movie, but if you're seeing it for the first time,
Yes.
at home on your
I
television.
do believe, and this is part of why I think there aren't movie stars, new movie stars, is because I do believe in the size of the screen, that they're bigger than you is so much better than no matter how big your home screen is, and everybody's got a nice one, you're bigger than them. I liked when they were bigger than us.
Can you envision a future where, obviously, we've lost a lot of movie theaters, we're probably going to lose some more. Hopefully that bleeding stops. Do you see a world?
Well, it's like on SNL this week, when one of the jokes was, anybody see any of the top movies nominated for Best Picture? You know,
Right.
It's like, it's a shame.
And some of this is our fault. I mean, for many of the people who complain, they don't make them like they used to. There's 10 movies nominated for an Oscar. Some of them are made like they used to, but people aren't rushing out to see them in a theater.
You know, a lot of those movies don't have the marketing budget of what people are used to being inundated for the big movies. They're inundated. You can't escape it. It's everywhere you look, right? A lot of these movies nominated this year, they don't have those kind of marketing budgets. I think people would like to see them.
Are there enough people to get to a point where people will go see grown-up movies?
I hope so. What can I tell you, Ben? I hope so. I hope so. I don't think, you know, when the menu has 3 things on it, I think when there's other things being offered to you and it can have a proper budget to reach people, I think they're going to come. It used to be what you would do on a date, right? Right? It was a great date night thing. I mean, going to a movie, it's fun and it's romantic and you fall in love. You go other places, you know, I don't want them to disappear. And by the way, there are really good people making things on streamers. I don't want to say this is the only place to have that adventure in your life, but I would hate to see cinema to disappear.